Hello friends, this is Ganesh and video number 9 on ABAP. So this is actually a continuation of previous video, so selection screen part 2, and in this session we're going to see about at selection screen output or at selection screen the flow, how it's actually flowing between the PBO and PAI concept. And again, remembering PBO PAI is for model pool programming, but the functionality wise it's for the screen designing. And how to use or when to use output, what is the basic checks we have to use in both functionalities. And the another one is user command for different screen components. User command is nothing but an action or event. If any button clicked, or if the user press enter or click the option button, check boxes, so after that it should trigger some action, or it should trigger some set of programs or set of code in the program. You can basically call it as an event or action. Technically we call it as user command. So if this is triggered, if this button is clicked, what needs to be done in the next one, next screen or next functionality. And another one is like Modif Id is going to be used, or it's going to be group your screen components. It's mainly used to handle your screen components in the real time or at the runtime. Based on the selection, I want to keep some screen elements or disabled. Based on this, I want to enable it. So we are going to just play around the visibility of your screen components. Not only visibility, we have some more properties as well. And in this session, especially pre-request is required in the debugging level and the system fields. I will show you very basic debugging to understand how these things are working. And probably the next video is it's going to be a debugging one. And after that, every functionality, end of every functionality, I will show you how that functionality is working in the debugging mode. So then it will be very easy for you to understand about the debugging as well. Okay, because any language debugging is very important to understand the flow, understand the issues, what is happening, and just explaining what is happening in the background of the program. So debugging is very important. We'll see that as well. Okay, so this is about today's session. Let's get into the system. So this is my system. Let's start with C38 web editor. So hope you might started working on some basic stuffs with the programs in your systems. And let me, this is the previous program where I have explained, does not exist. Really? What's a program name? Probably a different server I have used in the last one. Let me check. Okay. Then give me a minute. Okay, somehow its program got deleted because it's just a training system many people are using, not sure. That's fine. Let's me create the simple program. Selection screen properties, executable, forget about, or just ignore the spellings and all. And local object, you can go with package as well. So my idea is I'm going to explain about the functionality of at selection screen output and at selection screen. I showed you the last time, but this is little additional, I can say. So here I'm saying I want to add a value to the field. FERT at selection screen output is nothing but PBO, process before output. So before your screen executes, I can say it's pop-up. So this type of code should be executed. Okay, so under the event, I just entered it. And at selection screen is PAI, process after input. So whenever any event happens, enter button, F8, any event happens, then this set of code is going to execute. So that is the two different events. At selection screen output, at selection screen. You are in ABAP, so you should be aware of the terminology. So this is nothing but events. Okay, so what happens, let me activate it and execute. So first time before the screen comes, the control comes here and execute this line number 11, and the value of FERT is placed over here, and the expectation is if I press enter, the key ERT to be modified with this or upload filled with this particular field. I'm going to press enter. Oh, still it's FERT. The reason behind us. So now I'm going to explain when this PBO triggers, whenever you execute or before pop up the screen, this particular code will execute and any refresh happens. That is very important, okay? Meaning when the refresh happens, any event triggers, meaning it refresh the screen, right? If you press enter, F8, whatever event triggers, it try to execute or refresh the screens, like enter, or if you press enter, going to the next screen, call screen, it happens to the screen, press F3, it coming back to the previous screen. So again, coming back to the previous screen also, it try to refresh the screen. So those scenarios, this particular code will execute. So what happened actually, I press enter, the control just reached this place, number 14 at selection screen, and modified the value of p underscore mtart by kert, and again it get refreshed. So again the control goes to second time, control goes to the line number 11 and remodified the value of KERT with FERT. So for this, we need to understand along with the debugging mode. So how the control goes line by line, okay? So for this particular session, I'm just explaining a very basic line of debugging. Maybe the next video, I will put what is the basic debugging, what are the things we have and everything, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a breakpoint. In debugging, very basic idea is breakpoint. What is a breakpoint? I'm going to stop my particular program in particular line, okay? Executable line. Not all the lines you're not able to stop the program. Only the executable line you're able to keep a breakpoint, then the program stops. For example, I'm going to stop my program line number 11. Okay, so I'm going to keep a breakpoint over here. This is the breakpoint. Two different breakpoints. We'll see in the next video. And I'm going to keep a breakpoint. Okay. Yeah, basic rule to keep a breakpoint is your program or your object to be activate. So mine is not in active state, so let me activate it. So you can't keep any breakpoint in the inactive state of program or object function model, whatever it is. So now your program is active. I'm going to keep a breakpoint line number 11. So this is one way of keeping a breakpoint. This is called session breakpoint. Let me keep a session breakpoint, and let me keep another breakpoint in line number 14. So it indicates, so these two lines are having a breakpoint, line number 11 and line number 14. So what are you going to do? In my entire process, I want to know when the line number 11 is getting executed, when the line number 14 is getting executed. Technically, when at selection screen output is getting executed and at selection screen even getting executed. So that's what we want to understand. So I'm going to press F8. So expectation is before screen pop-ups, at selection screen output should trigger. So it's saying ABAP connected to a debugging mode. So it's open a separate window. If you press Alt Tab, so you're able to see your program as well. So here it is. This is the window 1 and this is the window 2. It's open in a new window. Okay. So here it stopped. There is a yellow mark. Yeah. Okay. Let me take out the breakpoint. Yeah. So the yellow mark indicates it stops here. Okay. Keep the breakpoint again and just double click the variable. So don't worry, just understand the debugging only for the current scenario. I will explain this one by one. double click the variable because we should know what is the value of it. The cursor is available in line number 11, meaning the line is not executed. It's just the cursor stopped. The program stopped in the line number 11. And if I press F5 is a shortcut to allow the arrow to go to the next line, next executable line. Okay. And here you have the options, single step and everything. I will explain this. Now we'll go only on single step. F5 is a shortcut. So if I press F5, it executes line number 11 and it's assigned the value to FERT. Okay. And there is an arrow, meaning it's just go out of the event. This is the event. At selection screen output is the event. So it reaches the next executable statement and it's trying to go out of it. It's not going inside this at selection screen. Okay, so this is applicable for any loop or any processing block. It just come out of the processing block. You're able to see this arrow mark. Okay, and I'm going to press F8, just come out of it. Now the screen pop-ups FERT. I'm going to press enter button. So any event happens, at selection screen should execute. So press enter. I have a breakpoint over there. Yes, it comes here. Let me take out this. So it comes and stops line number 14. Okay, just double click. Okay, it's already available. P underscore MTART, and I'm going to press F5. So FERT is replaced with KERT. So the program executed at selection screen as well. Okay, and I'm going to press F8. Now again it go back to at selection screen output because it's getting refreshed. Any event happen, the screen is getting a refresh. So again it goes to at selection screen output. Before pop-up and any screen refresh, this PBO or at selection screen output event will trigger. So what happens? Again I'm going to press F5. So this KERT is replaced with FERT. So you should know the functionality or flow of PBO and PAI because the entire screen concept or logic is going to be written either in PBO or in PAI, nowhere else. Okay, so you should be very clear on this PBO, PAI, or at selection screen output or at selection screen. I'm going to press F8. So obviously it comes to FERT. So we have to handle it. Now we know how this is going to be triggered. So through programmatically, we need to handle this particular scenario. Very simple way is what we are doing is, I'm going to say if this particular field is empty, is initial, okay, only that particular part assign the FERT. When this is getting initial, only at the first time before pop up the screen. So second time what happens, the FERT is already filled, and if any enter press any event or enter, it comes here again, it's filled with KERT. So second time it goes to line number 11, it won't execute this particular part, it just skip it. Okay, let me activate and I'll show you in the debugging as well. F8. So FERT, I'm going to press enter, it's KERT. Now it's visible. Okay, let me show you in the debugging mode. Keep the cursor in 11 and 16 now. F8. So before pop-up, it comes to at selection screen output. MTRT is initial, no values. So it comes inside. Assign the value to MTRT as FERT. F8. I'm going to press enter. So here again it comes to at selection screen event is replaced with KERT, and F8 it goes to again at selection screen output. This time it just check whether it has any value. Yes, so it skips, means it won't go to line number 12. Just come out of it and press F8. So KERT comes. Okay, so you have to understand the PBO PI functionality, then just play around with some your kind of coding to achieve your business scenario. We'll see some more examples as well. Okay. So the next one is I'm going to explain some interesting concept of looped screen. It's like how to change the screen components based on the requirement. Okay. It's like next to the design, not the design phase, next to the design phase. So let me, okay, I don't want to waste the time. I'll do one thing. I'll just create the components and I'll start recording. Okay. So here I just created 3 radio buttons and 2 checkboxes. I didn't add much, nothing much. Okay. We had already the input field and 3 radio buttons and 2 checkboxes. So my idea is, let's connect to debugging. Okay, let me take out this. While executing, means the before the screen pop-ups, I want to disable this R3 and C2. Okay, I want to disable these two components because it's not the design phase. Depends on the business scenario. I want to do what. So where we have to write a code, we have to write a code in PBO or selection screen output. So once you start working with the screen logic, so whenever there is a functionality to be written in the program, then you just imagine where it should come, either it's a PBO or PI. Only the two places where we can write the code for screens. So now I have to go with at selection screen output because before screen pop-ups I had to do. So what I'm going to do was I'm going to use a loop and a structure called screen. So what's a loop? I'm going to loop all the input components. So how many components you have? By visible you have one input, three radio button, two checkboxes, only six, but it has more. There is a screen and there is a screen frame. Okay, whatever is not you declared by default, whatever it comes, that is also coming under screen component. So now the concept is I'm going to loop all the screen components one by one. Okay, it may be very few, and whenever there is a screen component name is R2 and C2, I'm going to use a structure called screen. In that structure, there is a field called input. I'm going to disable it. Okay, mostly that particular structure field, the screen structure field is enable, disable, true or false. That way it works. Okay, so let's start with loop first. Loop at screen. Okay, and this is the first step. Second step, I'm going to write a if condition. If the structure is screen, it's actually a screen structure. I'll show you in detail. Like if you double click, it will take you to the SE11. It's a part of data dictionary structure. So screen, and I'm going to say if the screen name is R2. Okay. So I can use the OR condition, or if screen name as C2, sorry, C2, okay, then what you can do is screen control space bar, it shows the properties or fields of the screen. I am using this property input, screen input is equal to 0. 1 is true, 0 is false. Okay, and what you have to do was this is actually happening after the design, so you have to forcefully modify the screen. So you have to use a keyword called modify screen. Okay, and end loop. So everything comes within a loop. Okay, let me act toward it, and before execute I'll show you the screen properties. Just double click, it will take you to SE11. So this is a structure for screen. Okay, so you have a name, group 1, group 2, 3, 4, required, input, output. So we use required mostly. I told the last video how to make the select option high as a mandatory. So use required field, use the loop at screen, you can do it. And based on the user input, I want to make some changes in the user screen components. You can use a screen structure. Okay. So just go here and execute. F8. Yep. So you can able to see R2, you're not able to pass any inputs. Anyway, this is available. These two are available, but R2 and C2 is not available. So this is a way we can use loop at screen. This is very helpful functionality. So many times we use loop at screen, depends on the business requirement. So this is actually we used in the at selection screen output and before the screen pop-ups. Suppose the same scenario I'm going to do based on the user input. For example, if the user enter PMTRT is KERT, some other value, example KERT, then I'm going to disable C2. Okay, otherwise I'm not going to do it. Okay. Oh, sorry, C2 is already disabled. Okay, C1 and R3, just do it this one. If it is KERT, I want to disable R3 and C1. If not, I'm going to disable R2 and C2. Okay, just play around. And what I'm going to do was I have to write in at selection screen. Other option is anyway the control, if you press enter, whatever it is, it refresh, right? Everything it go to at selection screen, again come back to at selection screen output as well second time. So it's very difficult to control through the program. Instead of that, write the code in acceleration in output. Okay. So whenever the code is going to change, whenever the enter any event has happened, it comes to add selection screen, and second step it comes to add selection screen output. So I'm going to make use of add selection screen output for my scenario. Okay. So what I'm going to do was a loop at screen. Okay. Just copy this. R3 and C1, right? I'll just go with R3 and C1. Okay, but the one more condition is if p underscore mtart is equal to kert. So only then apply this change, otherwise don't do it. So entire is coming under this if condition. Okay, so if mert is equal to that, then go to kert, otherwise don't do anything. Okay, back to order. Yeah, okay, I'll do one more thing because I need one more if condition for FERT. So this particular screen change happens only for FERT. So let me introduce a one more if condition. If p underscore mtart is equal to FERT, then do this. Else if do this. Okay, so two things I have enabled. So now let me activate it and execute it. Okay, so now FERT, so I'm going to say, okay, now by default it comes FERT, but the changes are not happening because I forgot. Where is the initial value we have assigned? Here it is. It's coming after the looped screen. That is the problem. So this is not happening. So before looped screen, I need to keep my initial values. Yeah. Now the pop-up itself, it comes here, is assign a value FERT, then it execute this point, then this block will execute and keep R2 and C2 as disable mode. Right? See, FERT, R2 and C2 is disabled. Now I'm going to enter KERT, enter. So now R3 and C1 is disabled, R2 and C2 is enabled. Okay, so this is a way you can, even for enter any event, you can keep the looped screen in acceleration screen output itself. Okay, so this is an easy way to keep your looped screen changes in acceleration screen output. So hope you can understand now. Okay. So the next one is I'm going to introduce a Modif Id. So Modif Id is going to group the screen elements. Suppose you have a lot of screen components, like 20-25 screen components, and based on some value, you want to group some fields. So if the value is 1, I'm going to group 5 screen components. So I'm going to disable the group level, not in the component level. So it's very easy, right? So if you enable the group, then automatically whatever is belongs to that particular group, all the screen elements is coming to either disable or enable. Whatever you are applying to the group, it's applicable for all the screen components. So for that, we are going to use a keyword called Modif Id. So for example, instead of screen name R2 and C2, I'm going to make these two components R2 and C2 as one group. So let's go to R2. So I'm going to using a call modif id and any 3-digit characters. So you can give, I can say G1, and I want to make this one also G1. Okay. So now I'm going to say if instead of name, okay, let me comment this. Instead of screen name, one second. Yeah, I'm going to use a property called group1. Okay, so if group1 is G1, do this. I don't want this also commented. Oh, sorry. Okay, so simple way, but the output is same. So it's again still R2 and C2 are disabled because R2 and C2 belongs to the group G1. Okay. So same way, if you want to practice for this one, change the R3 and C1 as G2, some other any name, any 3-digit name you can give, and apply the group name. So this the group will used for if there is more screen components if you have in your screen. And so another one is user command. So that is very interesting, user command. So same scenario, instead of FERT, KERT input value, I'm going to use specific option buttons. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce two more option buttons, parameters, or three, right? So R4 radio button AB and R5 radio button AB. So now I'm going to introduce or I'm going to enable the user command for the option buttons. So far whatever we have seen option button checkbox, it doesn't have any user command. Okay, so you have to select it and you have to press F8 or press enter, then only it will trigger. If you enable a user command for any of the screen components, whenever you touch option buttons, if you click a checkbox, if you click, automatically it acts as a kind of a button. Okay, it has an event is already associated with it. So what is the event, and based on that what kind of code we have to execute it. So that is actually enabled by using user command. So we are going to enable the user command for the screen components. So user command event is not only for button, it's applicable for option button, checkboxes, list boxes as well. So the syntax is user command, any name, no single quotes, just give any name. I can say event1. Okay, we'll go with a little technical. We call it as, like in ABAP, we call this name as, in general it's event or action name. We call it as function code. Okay, FC is a function code. So function code for option button, OPTB. Okay, technical term. So it's not you have to follow this, like just a technical term is function code. If you want to follow some naming conventions, so FC is a better one. So function code opt B, and this is applicable for the entire group. It's not for one radio button. It's for entire group. So what you have to do is, if this is selected, you have to add one more if condition. If R4 is selected, do this. If R5 is selected, do this. Okay. So user command is ready. Now I'm going to introduce a small concept called system variables or system fields. If you take any language or anything like VB, Java, so they have their own system variables, we call it, or system fields. Common example for system field is date, date, current time, current what they call time zone. Okay, so this is called common system fields. So we have in SAP ABAP as well. So that is actually a structure. So I'll show you that AC11. So going forward, we are going to use a few system variables in our program, and system variable structure is SYST, system structure in short. Okay, just click display. So this is called ABAP system fields. Only at the runtime we can make use of this system fields. I want to know what is the index in a loop, what is the index number now, what is the page number, or what is the row index, okay, and what is the total number of records in a database table after the select statement, database count. So here it is. You have a detailed description also. So page number, tab X, tfill, so everything is over here. Okay, so we'll see one by one whenever there is a scenario comes. In this scenario, I want to capture the user command. So that is nothing but ucom. I'm going to search ucom. So ucom is the field. It's a field. It's nothing but function code that raised in PAI. Okay, now you know the terminology of function code and what is PI and everything, right? So PI means process after input. So okay, one more point. All the events are captured in PAI only. So click event, enter event, click the button event. So wherever there is a user command associated with, if you touch the particular screen component, automatically it comes to PAI. So now I'm going to make use of at selection screen, not the output. So when you have to use loop at screen in PBO or PAI, now I need to capture a user command that is going to trigger only in at selection screen, PAI. So I have to use my loop at screen in PAI. Last scenario, it's just a value. So value is available in overall, the screen is available. Okay. So it's available in PAI as well as PBO, but the user command is available only in PAI. So I have to make use of the loop at screen in my PAI scenario. So after some real-time examples, you just come to know when we have to use loop at screen, whether in a PBO or PI. Very simple, value related use in PBO, user command related use in PI. Okay. So here what I'm going to do is if first I'm going to use the SciUCom. And the system variable, normally how we can do is structure hyphen field name. This is the normal scenario or the format in ABAP to mention the structure field name, like work area, how you return like write w underscore mara hyphen matner, same way. So here syst also you can give, or you go with just two alphabet, it's fine. So we used it with the two only. If sciucom user command is equal to within single quotes and your what is the name we given function code and option button, it's case sensitive, so your function code should be in capital letter. If not, it won't give any syntax error, it won't trigger also. Okay, and in that I have two more options, two more screen components, like two option buttons. I'm going to say R5 because not R4. The reason we can is R4 by default is selected, so I'm not able to give the exact scenario. So I'm just going to choose R5. But user command is only one; it's applicable for the entire group. So if R5 is selected, I'm going to make use of this code. So screen name is R3 or C1, just input is 0. Okay. So same thing, but here it's based on the user command. This is going to work. Oh, so hold on. I must loop a screen. Sorry, modify screen. Activate it. So if R5 is getting selected, then these two is going to be disabled, R3 and C1. So I'm going to select R5. So now R3 and C1 has got selected, and this is got enabled. This is because of the KERT. Okay. So if I check R4, it won't enable because I didn't write the code. So we have to write the code. If R4 is selected, enable this. R5 is selected, disable this. So excuse me. So just play around. It's very interesting one. So have only screen components. Don't combine your select, loop, data and all. Just have plenty of screen components and play around with the loop at screen. Then you come to know whether loop at screen is in PBO or PI. So it's very simple. Okay, and very interesting as well. What was the next one? Yeah, the next one is I'm going to have a push button, because normally user command or this function code means it's normally for the buttons, right? So I'm going to create a push button. So for push button, I need selection screen. So here you can combine your selection screen concept, like begin of line, begin of block, begin of screen, so everything over here. Okay. So I'm going to say selection screen. I need a push button. That is a keyword, and where you want to do the push button. So I want the column 5 and how long it is, maybe 15. Okay, and what is the title on it? So I'll make use of my text symbols. Okay, what is the user command? My user command is function code stop, something like that. Okay. Here one thing. Okay, I'll come to that. Let me have text for this text symbols. Just double click and click S. Stop. Okay, just a name over the button. Activate it. Make sure you're activating your text symbols and go back. That is done, and user command is also done. Here there is an issue in push button. So push button is always, it won't go to the next line by default. So for example, if you create parameter C1, C2, so C1 is line number, example line number 5 in input screen, and C2 is automatically goes to the next line. Okay, see like line number 6. If you want both in the same line, you need to go with begin of line. But push button doesn't have that property. It won't by default go to the new line or next line. It try to keep the push button in the same line. Same line means after C2 is going to try to put this button. So let me show you. I'm checking it, no error. I'm activating it, press enter. I'm getting this error. So not able to generate the screen because one screen component is going to overlap with the other one. So that is the reason. Either you have to change your offset length or introduce skip. I'll go with skip now. Okay, now it creates one new line and keep the push button. Just enter, press F8. It's coming now. Stop. Okay, I'll show you the value of it in the debugging mode. Let me have a breakpoint in my PAI at selection screen because I want to know what is the user command, whether it's captured or not when I click push button. So F8 and click the push button, stop. And there is a one single variable, it captures the entire user command. So now it's FC top, FC stop, then execute. So nothing, I didn't write any code. And if I press R5, then same user command, yes, you come capture the R5 user command. So one single variable, it captures exactly which button or which screen component is clicked, which has the user command. Okay, so what next? Yeah, that's it for today. Hope you might get some idea about what is selection screen and what are the events we have to write the code for the screen, and what is the use of looped screen and how to modify the screen components and the real time means runtime, and how to group the screen components and user command. So hope this is it for the selection screen. Probably if I must, maybe in this another example programs, I'll just introduce if I miss anything about the selection screen as well. That F4, F1 is still pending because I need to take function module concept. Then I'll come back and explain what is the at selection screen value help and at selection screen what is the other one? Search help and value help. Okay, I think I'm confused. It like F4 help or F1 help. Okay. Yeah, I got it. It's value request. It's for F4 help and help request. That is for value request and help request. Value request is for F4 and help request for F1. So I'll just take it once I complete the function module. So thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed and see you in the next video.